Hello class and welcome to week 4 or module 4 in MSE 402, Engineering Project Management. This week we're going to be discussing the execution phase of a project. How do we do some measurements from an earned value perspective? We're going to start looking at cost and schedule performance indexes. In addition to that, we're going to walk you through all of the components necessary to get all your assignments completed this week, both for ECS and the individual assignment. So let's go ahead and just take a quick peek at what we've got lined up for you. Let's look at that model that we've showed you in the past. We're down to the executing phase. So this is the execution phase of a project. This is where we're going to actually look at our original cost baseline, which would have been initially given to you in week 1 and 2 when I gave you the project proposal and we gave you a budget of money and said this is what we've allocated to you. Since then, you may have grown the project because you may have gone beyond that by either things that weren't covered by project and program reserve or by your wanting to accept new areas of scope. So depending on what you restructured the program to, this week we're going to have you capture what that earned value picture is going to look like. So in that executing phase, multiple times do we'll pull up CPI and SPI and look at things to try to predict if a project is going to be able to be completed on time, and theoretically on time or under budget. Those are two different things, and you're going to hear the terms TCPI, so total cost performance index, and TSPI, total schedule performance index, are two terms that are available for you out there just to understand where we're going to be from a performance perspective with your projects. So let's jump in and take a peek at what we've got lined up for you this week. So the first lecture I've got lined up and recorded for you is on the executing phase. It walks you through all the components of executing a project and what that looks like, how that happens. We're going to talk to you about certain, I'll call it strategies for closing a project later on down the road, so your execution leads you to either having a positive performance towards the end of the project or overrunning and being late schedule-wise, which are very typical. So anyone who comes to you and says, I've run projects and they have always been delivered on time and we've never overrun, I would say is probably not telling you all the truth, because that rarely happens. Projects are a moving target and there's always changes that are happening, new scope that's being added. Your performance unravels sometimes. You can't get the people you need at the right time to do the right work, and other things may happen that could be out of your control. So you're doing the best you can trying to keep your team moving forward in a positive direction, trying to be as effective and efficient as possible. So when we get into the Zoom lecture I've got lined up for you, that'll be on Wednesday evening from 6 to 8 p.m. That is going to be on reducing project duration. So we'll have some strategies. We'll talk to you about ways to reduce the project duration. How can we shrink that up? How can we become more effective, more efficient, so that if something does happen, we've got some slack, not pad, but slack that we've predicted, and we work things in a way that make it more effective and efficient for us from a project management perspective. Now, in addition to that, the ECS PMO is going to be contacting you this week. They're going to have some news for you. You've got some opportunities that become available as they do each week, and you've got some challenges that'll happen. So it's that double-edged sword. Every week it's going to seem like there's something happening that's going to drive you in one direction, and there's going to be opportunities and there's going to be challenges. Those are things that happen on a weekly basis in all projects. So the simulation that you're experiencing as we get into week 4, all of these experienced type of things that we show you, that we're introducing you to from ECS, are things that happen on projects. These are true, real-time, actual things that happen. This is not a soap opera that we've created for you that's artificial. All of this is very viable, it's reasonable and rational, and could happen to you on any project you're going to be managing or leading. So Just as a heads up, when we jump down into the book readings for this week, the Larson and Gray book is always filled with great strategy. It's got great information for you. The stories that are in here are very, very relevant. It's great information for you. So whether you're an experienced project manager that's run multiple projects, or a new project manager, or someone coming in that doesn't have a lot of project management experience, these books, this text is going to be one that's going to be valuable for you later on down the road. And then, of course, the PMBOK, the PMI Book of Knowledge, the Body of Knowledge book, the Bible for project managers, is always something that's got good stuff for you. But remember, this is going to be based on process. This is going to walk you through the process steps and what should be encompassed when we're talking the executing phase of a project. Now, you've got two discussion areas this week. Both of them are going to be on project control. Remember that you must post 3 times on 3 separate days to get full credit for your discussion areas. I want you to get full points, full credit for these, so make sure you jump into the discussions. We're going to be pulling at and unraveling project execution, project control from a lot of different angles, so it'll be very valuable for you. Now, ECS has got 2 different areas that you're going to have to work on this week. So one is going to be a project, I'll call it analytics type of evaluation for earned value. So there's a template out there. You're going to have to actually fill that template out. And part of the information you're going to get from this is going to be based on your initial baseline that we created in week 1 and week 2 when you put your WBS together and you started looking at what your initial scope was and you loaded that into the Microsoft project schedule. That gave you at least a clear starting point or understanding of what the project was going to look like. In the last couple weeks, that has shifted and moved. Things have happened. You've either increased scope or you've decreased scope. You've moved things around or you've added things to the project. Some of them may be out of scope. They may not have been covered in the initial baseline, and you may be running at a deficit depending on where you're at. We're going to find that out, because what we're going to do is we're going to take the Microsoft project schedule that you've got at this point and we're going to force you to close it. We're going to force you to take all the activities and run them to 100%, close the project down so that you can get a snapshot of what your costs are at this point versus what they were in the beginning. That's going to give you 2 different versions of where we're at, and it's going to give you the ability to calculate earned value. So we're going to have you actually create an earned value report in Microsoft Project, and we're going to have you calculate different formulas for SPI, CPI, a couple different areas, so that you'll be able to really understand what we refer to as a poor man's earned value. This isn't going to be an advanced analysis of all of the rolling perspectives you could get out of Microsoft Project, but we're looking for the bare bones estimation of, do you think you can close your project on time? Will you be able to deliver it on the date that you thought you could? So Microsoft Project Schedule file is going to be one. The earned value report is what we're looking for one of the assignments that your team leader will pull in, and the other one is the template, the financial analysis, the analytics template that gives you kind of an understanding of where we're headed to. And if we had to do contingencies, if we have to move in a different direction, what would your strategies be? It's really going to be a good one. Break all these down and have all your team members help you with different pieces of it. Have everybody write their own sections. You want to make sure the team leader is not the person that gets handed this and told they have to do all of it. They should be delegating it out for other people to work on. It's a team-based effort. We want to make sure you guys are all contributing towards that. Now, the team leader this week has the individual assignment. That individual assignment is that team leadership report. Make sure that you, as the new team lead, at this point you should still be a new team leader. There shouldn't be any repeats yet. This is the opportunity where you will get a chance to take a look at what last week's handoff document was versus where we're at this week, and setting the stage for the follow-on week. So I want you to have a great week this week. I want you to understand week 4 is a critical week for you, because this is where you start to actually see what the performance indexes look like on your project as you're continuing to move forward. Closing the project is going to be happening later on, but this sets the stage to understand or predict what you would look like when you get to that point. So congratulations on completing weeks 1 through 3, getting to week 4. If there are any problems, issues, or concerns, as I said, feel free to reach out to me. You can always leave information for me in the module. There's always a threaded discussion area there for problems, issues, or concerns. And at the Zoom Live lecture, that's an opportunity to talk to me. Feel free to email me, text me, or contact me on my cell phone if there's any additional issues. You have a great week. I look forward to seeing you in the threaded discussions. Goodbye, teams.